Hello and welcome back to the Game Bet Match podcast. I'm your host, Manny Friedman, along with my co-host.
Brad Sloan.
Back in the house, baby. Back in the
Yeah.
house for a quarterfinal pod.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Just before we started this pod, we were bitching on like how bad the coverage is and how bad the media, like, how to
Which we
find
do
all the
every
screens
year. Like, to
are.
be fair, when we were just bitching
Yeah,
about it, but every year everybody bitches about the media coverage of the French, but it does suck.
yeah, it's
The
terrible.
worst covered. Honestly, it's one of the worst covered major sporting events.
It
Like, I
is.
don't know if there's another major sporting event in the world where like you can't like find it on like a major TV. Actually, I shouldn't. I just re-say that. It's very poorly covered in America. And I don't know if that's because like NBC doesn't believe in it, or NBC would like, or because it's a weekday event and NBC has it, and so NBC has things thinks they have better things to show on weekdays because they're not just a sports network. Like, I don't know what it is, but for
At least
some
NBC
reason,
is showing live tennis. Remember in the past, they were showing tape delay of like big names when they would play earlier in the day.
yeah.
At least they're showing live live coverage. Like it's so bad that these minor victories actually mean something, you know? It's
Yeah.
it's horrendous. It's horrendous. Tennis Channel Plus, like it's been really bad in the past, but like at least they've eliminated some of the like the delay.
Oh, okay, so they eliminated the delay. That's a
Yeah,
win. That's a
because like
win.
in the past there was like a game delay, and like at least they got rid of that. So it's like it's a standard like 1 point behind kind of thing, but it's not like ridiculous. So I'm happy about that. But overall it's terrible. But like besides the coverage of the event, I think in terms of drama and in terms of storylines, like heading into the quarterfinals, like I think it's one of the best slams I can remember for a long time.
So I
You
think in
agree
the
with
sense
that?
that they're wide open, right? Like, and we kind of said this pre-tournament, so I think it's a little bit of a layover of that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a really wide open tournament. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's rare. Like, and I think this is probably part of having the big three era for the past 15, 20 years. But we haven't really had a whole lot of situations um where we had open slams where because most of them were being, let's be honest, most of them were being stolen by four guys, right? Wawrinka, or not Wawrinka, Murray, Djokovic, Federer, and Nadal, right? For the past 20 years.
Right, but even in the recent past, there have only been two or three guys which we thought could win these slams. Like Wimbledon last year was two guys, legitimately. It was Novak and Alcaraz. Right, last year at the U.S. Open, it was three guys really. It was Djokovic, Alcaraz, and Medvedev. This year at the Australian Open, right, it was probably four guys, right? Well, not even because Alcaraz lost in the quarters. It was three guys. It was Djokovic,
No,
Medvedev,
but
Sinner.
because he lost in the quarters, he still had a chance to win. Like,
Okay.
I think there you could say maybe the Australian Open was a little more wide open, but not. But I think the difference there was like we didn't yet know how like awful Novak was going to be this year, and so I think the assumption was it was like maybe Novak and Sinner, and
Hmm.
maybe Medvedev just because of his previous prowess, but like, and maybe Alcaraz too, just because. So I think you could have made an argument for four guys, but like, I think that was more about like I think the biggest difference is that like all of the big four, like all of the big four are either retired or vulnerable or incredibly vulnerable in the case of Murray. I mean, he played, but he was 0-3.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
like you don't have a guy who's just like dominant anymore. And then at the same time, you've got Alcaraz being, you know, shaky over the past year. Um,
Sinner having hip concerns,
yeah, so you have and Alcaraz having the
plus
injury
not being
because
as
of
good
the
in
arm,
clay.
right? So you happen to have the other two top guys be injured. So yeah, I think there's a lot of things, but I do think a big piece of it is not having like a big three or a big four. Like I think you're going to see more of this going forward, is my
But what
prediction.
makes it really interesting is that the six guys who we legitimately thought had a chance to win are all in the tournament still, which makes
Right,
it,
and they easily could have been out. By the way, a lot of them easily could have. I mean,
yeah,
Djokovic could easily be out by now.
yeah,
Zverev could easily be out by now.
And that's another reason why I think that this is one of the most intriguing slams, is because the amount of like close, highly contested early round matches that these top guys had is more than in years past. Right? Like Zverev against Griekspoor and today against Holger, Djokovic with Musetti and Cerundolo. I mean, Alcaraz has had a pretty easy draw. I guess Sinner has as well. Ruud had a scare with Fokina, right? 4 sets with Fritz today. Tsitsipas, I mean, he hasn't really been tested too much besides 4 sets with Arnaldi and
I mean, I
Altman.
think Arnaldi tested him. Arnaldi had set
Yeah, that's
points,
true.
4
That's
set points
true.
to go up 2 sets to
Good
none.
point. Good point.
So I mean, that I guess you're right. I think I mean, I always hesitate to say versus previous years because like I feel like then you really have to go back and think about previous years, and recency bias is such an obvious thing. But I would agree. Like basically, almost. I mean, with the exception of honestly, I think every single guy, with the exception of Alcaraz, has had a scare. Like Sinner, the scare has been more the physical, the health issues. I don't know. I felt like he was grabbing a lot at his back against Mute. I don't know if he just does that, but I felt like against Mute he was grabbing a lot at his back.
Yeah, he does that where he like grabs the hip here and he always kind of limps around, but I don't know. I mean, he seemed fine. Like as the match went on, he got better, right?
Yeah, it was just weird that he wasn't running for drop shots early on, but then he started. It seemed like he started to later in the match. It was very weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm always concerned with Sinner in terms of physicality. Like it's always like it's just kind of built into my concern of when I watch Sinner. Like when he's 100% healthy and he's playing amazing, or like when he's playing, he's unbelievable. Like the ball striking is out of control, out of this world. But there's always that thought, like when he tugs at the hip, or and I always think like
You're looking for it. I think that's how I am. I'm always looking. I'm looking to see if he's injured.
yeah, right, right. Whereas with Novak, like you're looking for it, but you don't necessarily believe it, right? With Sinner, you believe it. So let's get into this Novak injury kind of thing. Like, what is your whole take on it? And like,
I mean, I think he's legitimately in pain. Like, but it may not be like seriously hindering his play, if that makes sense. So like you can be in pain, right? You can be like somewhat injured and be in pain, and it doesn't necessarily impact your play all that much during the point, right? You get the adrenaline going, you're not thinking about it, and then all of a sudden you're in between points and you're like, ooh, that actually is feeling a little tight, that's feeling a little off. Like, so I would buy that it could be that.
well, it kind of was throughout, the midway through the second into the third and the fourth. Like today was versus Cerundolo. Like if Cerundolo would hit a big forehand or hit a drop shot or something, he would kind of not run for it 100%. And I guess you could see it, but he knows that's my secondary point is that he's by far the best player at knowing how to manage a 5-set match. And I think players it's a growing take with me. Like the fact that there's no best of 5 tennis any other time besides the slams, these guys don't know how to manage a best of 5 match. No?
I don't really think there's too much to manage with it. Like, I guess there's more room to there's
There's
more
more
room to
time.
tank sets, but I don't think that's necessarily like a good strategy. Like even 5-set matches, the vast majority of them are won by the guy who wins more points. So like, I don't really, I don't really know that that's a. I think like it's one of those strategies like announcers love to pull out there to be like, oh, the magic of 5 sets of tennis, but I don't think it's that different. My take is that like these are just bigger, more important matches in these guys' careers. And I think these guys just don't know how to like finish guys off. Like the best way to manage a 5-set match is to get off the court in 3 sets. Like that's the best way to manage it. So I think that like I think it's I think it's more that these guys, these,
I think no one goes all out for 3 full sets. Like it's
oh
really
yeah, they
really tough.
do.
I mean, it's more rare now than I think it used to be.
I don't know. I don't think. I mean, I don't
But
think you see that many tanked sets. Like
okay,
you see more tanked sets in best of five than best of three. I'll give you that for obvious reasons. But I don't think it's like every guy is tanking a set every match.
not necessarily tanking, but I feel like guys don't really know how to manage a dip, right? Whereas in best of five, there's more time to deal with that. And like Djokovic is the king at it. Like he knows exactly when to kind of
Oh, I think see this is why I think this is garbage. I think like it's so the thing there is it's just there's more time to if you have a dip to recover. Like I don't think it's that you have to like know how to manage a dip. It's just like if you're Novak and you're that much better, if you have time to manage it, if you go through a dip, you have time to get back out of it. And then even if you don't get out of it, the guy's probably just gonna choke it to you anyways, because he's afraid to win a best of five match. Like I think it's the combination of those two things. Like I'm in a bad mood after watching Dolo and Greek Sport just give away matches to the top guys that they really should have won. And
yeah.
those were mental. That had nothing to do with managing a best of five match. That
I
was
mean,
all being a
Wawrinka, for example, I mean, he does better in best of five than best of three matches. And I think it's part of it is because he knows how to, he
When's
knows,
the last deep run he's had in a slam?
I mean, he's barely winning rounds, period, in best of three. But
That's my
like,
point. He sucks at both now. So like,
at least he won a round here and like he took Kotov to five. Like, if he didn't have the best of five format, he wouldn't have even like forced a fourth. So I think these older guys know how to manage it better. Like, I wish all ATP events and challenger events had best of five finals. And I think it would do wonders for players.
I don't know. I don't think there's that much. I don't know. I think it's way overstated.
I don't think it's necessarily more physically demanding either.
Oh,
Like,
of course it is. Now the difference in slams that you have off days, right? Whereas like in a lot of the smaller tournaments, you don't have off days, so it's a different beast.
yeah, okay, the off
Like the
day.
smaller tournaments, you're playing 5 days out of six, whereas this is playing, you're playing best of three, 5 out of 6 days, whereas this is best of five every other. But I think the individual best of fives are much more physically demanding than
Okay.
in
All
best of
right. Yeah,
three.
I'm not gonna disagree there. I just like I think it's all about how you manage it.
I don't think there's much to
Now,
manage. I mean, no, I don't. I really don't think so. I think there's
how to
like,
manage the dips and how to manage the lulls because like in a long match like that, you're gonna have a dip. It's pretty inevitable that you can't maintain such a high level of play for 3 hours or for
so
three
I
sets.
think better in my mind, better state is that like your median level of play matters more, right? And that's why a guy like Djokovic does incredibly well is because like his median level is so high, right? Whereas like if a guy's a guy who has like a Mute, right, is a
Yeah,
perfect example of a guy who like he can play well and he can play amazing and do
that's a good
ridiculous
point.
stuff
That's a really
for some period of time.
yeah,
Like his median level is lower, and so like your median level trumps way more than like your peak level in a best of five. I'll say
yeah,
that. I
that's
think
true.
yeah, I think it's also like I said, I also think like these are really important matches to these guys. So I think mental, like you talk about mental game all the time, and
Yeah,
I usually poo poo it, but I do think like closing out these matches. I mean, you could see it, right? Like you saw Griekspoor get up two breaks against, and I'm not saying Greek, we agree, Griekspoor's done it before, but Griekspoor got up two breaks against Zverev and looked like terrified.
yeah. You saw it with Dolo to an extent, like maybe not as like severe as Griekspoor, but you know, he struggled when he was, up break point. I think he started 0 for 11 on break point. And then like at the end, he got tentative, and then Djokovic, he found that second win. Like you have to assume that Djokovic is going to find that second win. Like, and players are not ready for it when it happens.
I mean, I think a lot of it is also guys just get tentative, and I think guys
Yeah.
like bring like that's my new favorite quote from Rublev is like they give Djokovic the wings to fly. You know, like, and if you
Yeah.
give the and like if you give these top guys wings, like, you know, if you give them a chance to like get, you know, to if you get tentative and you like let these guys do what they want to do. Also, like a guy like Djokovic is the perfect example of this. He's great at rallies. Like that's like what he wants to do is play rallies and use tactics and things like that. So if you stop being aggressive, then you're playing right into his hands.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess with the injury, I don't know how severe it is, but like with the quote unquote injury that he had, there was a period in that match where he was like bailing out of rallies. Like he didn't want to play long rallies. He was coming to net, shortening points, like and that's why I said it on the Discord, like I would need plus 200 or better to hit him at that point. And I thought that there was a 55 to 60% chance that Dolo was going to choke. And that ended up happening. But I don't know. I think there is something to be said about how guys manage a 5-set match.
I can't agree. Like
Oh,
I don't think no, I don't. I just don't think like I think it's yeah. I think it's BS. Like I don't think it's. I think there's 8 other reasons why what we're talking about happens. Right. The other thing we
okay.
didn't talk about is just the pure like best of 5 is longer than best of 3, so the better guy's going to win more often. We talked about it on the first pod where like you see the favorites, usually the lines are a little longer on favorites in best of 5, and that's why. It's because like in a best of 5, the better player is
Yeah.
more likely to win. Right? There's more points in the match. Like it's just like a basic numbers thing.
So you don't think if these younger guys had more best of 5 tennis throughout the year, they would be better at like closing out these matches?
No, no, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think it's like a today. I don't think with Cerundolo was a fatigue thing. I didn't watch him try. I
No, it
listened to a
wasn't.
little bit of
It
it.
wasn't. Serena
Yeah,
looked
so
pretty
like
fresh.
so it's just a matter of it's just that they mentally like, and I don't think it's anything to do with best of 5. I think it's mentally you get into like that huge like there might be a little more of an aura around it that they like mentally like, oh my gosh, I'm about to beat Djokovic at a slam as opposed to beating him at like an ATP 250 or an ATP 1000. But I think it's all in these guys' heads. Like I don't really like, it's
Okay.
not like these guys. It's not like Djokovic. Like, yeah, Djokovic is incredibly fit, but like, I mean, I don't think it like the reason these guys lose at the end of the match is like the fifth set isn't when they're going to be like, oh man, like I didn't manage the match well enough, so now I don't know what to do in the fifth set. Like, unless they just gas out, but we're not seeing them gas out. We're just seeing that they don't mentally know what to do like when they're ahead against the better players. Like, and it's also I think telling that you see it most often with like in matches against these top guys, or at least that I can think of. You see it mostly with these matches against these top guys where, like again, these guys are in huge stadiums. Like how often is what's his face Cerundolo in front of that many fans?
Yeah, I think Dolo was more the it factor, like of playing Novak and being that close to beating him in a slam. You're probably right. I think with Musetti, for example, like in the previous match, it's more like he didn't know how to manage or how to counter that second win that Djokovic had. I thought Dolo did a better job of that today than Musetti.
I just don't think Musetti's very good. I think the difference is Musetti's. I mean, I think the difference is Dolo's better than Musetti. Right
I would
now,
agree
he's
with
just
that.
playing better than Musetti,
I would agree with
So like, yeah, Musetti's been not great the whole clay season. I think he's now going to get hyped because he did well in this match, but I think that was mostly
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah. So I'm very curious to see what you have to say about the Ruud Djokovic match, but we'll get into that later. But that being said, with Djokovic, with any injury, as long as he's playing, I just don't buy it. I'm not saying that he's faking it. I just like he has this ability to overcome it, and I think he uses it as he has like a Hercules complex where I feel like he because like when you win these kind of matches when you're quote unquote hurt, it makes the win that much more impressive, right? And it's also used as kind of a mental tactic to, kind of distract the opponent a little bit. So I'm not like denying that he didn't have any pain. Like it's probably there, but like I think he extenuates it like to the point where it becomes like this Hercules kind of moment, Would you agree with that?
Um,
He does it all the time. And he only does it when he's struggling or losing or when he feels like the momentum is turning
well,
into
that's
the
true of the entire
favor.
tour. Like all these guys, when they're losing, they all of a sudden their bodies
Fair,
feel a lot
fair.
worse. Like every single
But
we've
Djokovic
never
is the
talked
only
about a guy who seemed to have more pain in his body when he was winning.
with 90% of the guys, as soon as they call the trainer, I think A, retirement, or B, they're gonna lose. Like that's my first thought. I think like as soon as like 90% of the tour calls the trainer, I think the match is over. And it doesn't even matter for like a blister or anything like that. I just think like it's over. Like with Medvedev today, for example, he got treated for blisters and the match was over.
Well,
Like
okay, so I think that I think I actually would disagree with you on the 90% of the tour. I think there's plenty of guys who take a timeout. Like, I mean, like Holger Rune is the king of that, just taking timeouts like for the heck of it, basically.
okay, but that usually means that he's struggling, which means that I don't
Yeah.
think he's going to be able to get out of it, right?
Okay. I guess I get what you're saying. Like, but I think it's more again. Like, I think it comes back to the fact that like it's easy to overanalyze, right? But like, reality is Djokovic is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. So like, yeah, he's gonna do better in like every situation than these other
Yeah.
guys. And then on top of it, we've seen over the past, like especially the past few years, like, and I'm not just saying this year. I'm saying even go back 2, 3, 4 years now. How often these guys get into winning positions against me just can't close.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's like anything Herculean. I mean, it's a little bit Herculean from Djokovic. Like it's a little bit of Djokovic being really like also a really good tactician and like making guys play balls and making himself tough to close. So I think there's something to be said for that. But I think there's a lot to be said for these guys who are just afraid of him. And they're still afraid of him in
And
a
I
slam.
think it also shows the gap between Djokovic and Dolo. Like the fact that when Djokovic says that he was like fully fit, like Dolo had no chance. Like in the first set, the end of the fourth and the fifth, like just no chance.
I
So
mean,
if it was a legitimate injury, like I
yeah,
mean,
but if it's a legitimate injury, it's not like he suddenly. I guess the painkillers he said helped, which could be true. I
yeah,
mean, that's probably true. Like,
oh, sure. But I always think that I don't know, as long as he's playing, I don't like believe that it's that severe.
I'll say this. I'll say, I think it's pretty obvious now. He's definitely not afraid to show that he's hurt.
Right.
That I'll agree with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, he pushes the envelope with that. Let's like I don't know. I feel like LeBron does kind of similar thing in basketball, right? To some extent. I don't know. I do think he has this Hercules complex. Nadal does it too, where if he loses, he blames an injury, right?
Again, like but I go back and forth on this. I think also like tennis is really hard. And I think realistically, probably more of the tour is injured than not. And it's just who's talking about it at that time and who's injured worse. Like we see all these random bad performances by lower ranked guys. How many of those are guys get hurt? Guys being hurt. Like, I mean, it happens all the time. Like after a match, it comes out that some guy had like food poisoning or this or that. Like there's a lot going on, I'm sure, behind the scenes and underneath the scenes that you don't know about.
So you think
It's more
Djokovic,
obvious,
Djokovic is just more like demonstrative about it, you would say?
more demonstrative, and also he's getting asked questions about it all the time. If Jaume Munar loses a match in Buenos Aires, nobody's asking him after the match.
Right. They're all like he just played like crap.
Or they just like they don't even care. They don't even know, right? No one even realizes. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if he's playing against Ruud, I think he should be a sizable favorite. Like that means that he's able to play, and I don't think Ruud has that ability mentally to do it. Like the only two guys that have proven that they can mentally get over the hump against Novak and Slam is Alcaraz and Sinner. And until someone else does it, I just won't believe it. you know? And I made this mistake, like not live betting these last two matches. Like, if you see plus 200 on Novak or plus even plus 150, like you got to hit it. It doesn't matter how hurt he is, doesn't matter how far behind he is. Like, it just seems like that mental gap just means so much? Like, what was your minimum buy point on Djokovic, like against Musetti?
I mean, honestly, I didn't get a chance to watch until the fifth set, so it almost wasn't even relevant. Like,
Right. Yeah, once it's in the fifth set, like I think it was like minus 800 or 900 to win.
yeah, yeah.
But say Djokovic is down 2 sets to 1 and is like looking sluggish, kind of looking like he's looked the entire year. And like, what would be your minimum buy point against a guy like
Against Rude?
no against? Yeah, okay, I guess. Well, like against Dolo or Musetti, like against that level opponent.
Probably like plus 200, plus 250.
Oof. Okay.
Maybe plus 200. Like, I don't know. It's just tough. It's probably too low because you're right. There's probably, I mean, it's just, yeah, I never know how much to move like a line for the choke factor, right? Like, because obviously it exists, right? Like, I'm not going to say it doesn't
Yeah.
exist. I mean, we've seen it happen too many times,
But
but
against Djokovic at a slam, the choke pack factor kind of goes up,
it does certainly
right?
seem
Just by
that way, doesn't
default.
it? It does certainly seem that way.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as the other round of 16 matches, what do you think of Alcaraz against FAA?
Honestly, I didn't really get a chance to watch much of this at all. I
Yeah.
watched a little bit, but I was just out and about. Sunday I watched a little bit more, but I did not see the FA Alcaraz match. It's one match I didn't see, so no real comment.
Okay. FAA just doesn't have anything to trouble Novak, Carlos especially on a clay court.
I just don't know how good FA is in general. I mean, he's playing better, but I don't know. I still don't know, man.
Playing better, but still not to the level that he was like
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago. Yeah, he's still far away from that.
yeah.
You know, Sinner against Mute. I don't know how much of that you saw.
I saw the first. Well, I saw the second. I saw sets 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Um, so
it's the one good call I had in terms of
yeah, the
betting.
Mute LWW. Yeah, that was a great call. The
Yes,
LWW on Mute
9-1.
on that match. Yeah,
Yeah.
I certainly didn't see Mute going out 5-love. I thought I mean I was wrong. I thought I took the under. I thought Sinner was just going to wax him. I was surprised, by how long. But Mute, from what I heard, played amazing the first set, and then he
He
just
did.
I don't know if he ran out of gas or if it was just a matter of he was just like getting just
He was just getting
level.
pummeled. Like as soon as Sinner pinned him to a corner, like he had no way out of it because just Sinner was blasting balls left and right, and it's just like Mute is just scrambling for his life. And
Yeah,
Sinner would just
and it
make
also
gradual
seemed
progression
it
on his
also
shot.
seemed like Mute's drop shot, like Sinner, and
Sinner
you
was
know what?
reading it.
Looking back on it. And maybe it wasn't. Maybe it didn't. So I'll be interested to get your take. But it felt like Sinner moved up about 3 to 4 feet in his court positioning throughout the match.
He did.
And I think that was the big difference. Because like Mutet's drop shot was what was owning the first like set and a half.
Yeah, and then he was also overusing it, so Sinner could read it. And yeah, the court positioning was a big part of it. And since he was closer to the baseline, he would just like make those balls much easier. And plus, every Sinner ball would push Mute back, which would make the drop shots way harder. And it would just
Well, that's why I was doing them so early in the point. Right? Like we take him out with the right strategy, I think. But it's just the other thing too is like it's like playing against the house. Like Mutet was making ridiculous shot after ridiculous shot and like high
yeah,
difficulty shot, and like he's capable. But like, if
not
you're doing that every
sustainable.
point, you're not going to consistently be able to do that. At some point, it's going to fall apart, and we saw that happen.
Right. Right. there were points in that match where every time Mute won a point, like it felt like he won the title. Like he was
Yeah.
so amped up. Like it was like a victory just winning a point, which shows the gap between these two guys. It's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it's a pretty big gap, but
But that's why Mute's never beat anybody in the top 10, is he just like he can't, he like against those guys, like, they're it's you're just it's just he's just making bad he's trying ridiculous shot after ridiculous shot. And like eventually they're gonna stop going in and then you're done. Like
yeah, yeah. I was pissed because I had Sinner to win a set to love at 5-1 as well.
yeah.
Oh.
That was
And
probably the bet for that match, to be honest. He didn't come through. That was a fantastic bet. I should have made that bet. Should have told.
yeah, the one game that Sinner won in the fourth or lost in the fourth, he had 2 break points.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
painful, but it is what it is. Um, yeah. So that's the bottom half of the draw. Dimitrov against Hubie. Just
That I watched a lot of, actually.
weird match. Just like, I mean, the match was basically lost in that 1:15:40 point.
Yeah.
Or Hubie had break points of 5-all in the first. He had an aggressive forehand, and like Dimitrov hits this like flicked backhand, and like it's like a lob, and Hubie has no idea what to do with it, and it just like kind of goes over his head, bounces in the corner, and then like he hesitates whether to take it with a forehand or a backhand, and he butchers the ball, and it's like such a lost opportunity, and like he just couldn't get over it the entire match. It was just a
Yeah,
shame.
it was weird to see Hubie that affected mentally by
Yeah,
that one point.
yeah,
But to
yeah,
be fair, it was still a really close match. I mean, it was still two tiebreakers in a 6-4. Like, it wasn't like it was a
yeah.
blowout.
But Hubie hasn't won a single tiebreak against Dimitrov, so I don't know how
Yeah.
much to take out of that, but like,
I don't know how much that matters. My favorite moment of the match was when Hubie tried to work with Dimitrov to get Allison Hughes thrown out of the chair.
that
Legit, like you
was
were right, man. You had
fantastic.
the take, like you were absolutely right. Like those two guys could call their own lines.
They could.
Those
They're
two guys and
good
Ruud are
guys.
like the nicest guys on the tour. Like
Yeah,
they 100% could call their own lines. Those three guys.
100%. 100%.
Like
And they'd be way better at finding the marks than fat Allison Hughes, right? Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I feel like she just like sometimes just doesn't want to get out of the chair, and then like when she does, she forgets where the mark is.
She did a pretty good job of getting out of the chair in that match. Like honestly, the call that he was flipping out over, he was dead wrong. Like I'm not sure. Like
Sure.
it was so dead wrong, but I think he was just in a bad mood at that point. And like
She messed up way worse in the Fritz
Fritz
coconut.
Kokonakis, yeah,
That was
yeah,
atrocious. What she
yeah.
did there. That was
Which is so it's such a frustrating thing because like, and it's hilarious because like I tell you about this story all the time. But when they were first looking to put in Hawkeye, like Hawkeye has a margin of error.
mm-hmm.
Like it's not like 100% exactly where the ball lands.
It
So
just
the
eliminates
umpires,
any discussion.
what?
It just eliminates any discussion.
Exactly, exactly. So the funny part of this story is there's like some sort of union for the umpires, or somehow the umpires got together and they were like, "This is like, look, this Hawkeye thing has error. Why would we use this system with error when we can just call like have humans call the lines?" And like the humans do a good job of calling the lines. So they did this like study where they like fired balls in like 3 inches of the line, and they had the umps try to judge in or out. And the umps were like 55% or something. I don't remember the exact number. It was between like 50 and 55%. Like the umps have no idea when it's within a couple inches, like what's like whether or not it's in. It's just really hard to ump, right? Like within a couple
It
inches, it's
is.
just so hard to see. Balls coming in so fast. Like, so it was funny. And it just reminds
Funny.
me of that because like even with the marks, like the mark theoretically should be like the best way to judge where the ball was. But like it's amazing how often these umps can't find the
It's
right
not.
mark.
What if
Like
another ball landed like within close proximity and it's like
that's
overlapping
the
with the
problem.
mark,
Exactly. That's the
like
problem. That's the
it's
problem.
hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
Like I played on clay and like I can barely see the marks. It's
Yeah.
it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what puzzles me is like how does a grand slam like this not have electronic line calling, but like Madrid, which is a Masters 1000, or even Estoril, which is a 250, had it?
I
Like
will say,
that makes
I will
no
say
freaking
this
sense.
about the French Open. The French Open drags their feet on technology more than any other tournament. Like, look how long it took them to have roofs in, which thank God they do have roofs. Because can you imagine what this tournament would be like this year if they
Oh
didn't
my
have the
God,
roofs?
dude, disaster. Lights, right? Like this
Lights, they
funny.
didn't have light. Can you imagine no lights, no roofs? What this tournament would have been like?
It would still be in the second round right now.
It feels like that, doesn't it? Like it really
Uh,
does feel like they'd be in like the second, like they'd be in the second or third round. We'll be
yeah,
talking about having like a final on like the third Monday or something,
right. Yeah,
or the third Tuesday or something, which just financially be a disaster.
right, right. Yeah, yeah,
Also, it'd be a disaster. I don't know if there's any tournament the week after this, but it'd be a disaster for anybody who's trying to get. Although I'm sure nobody playing in the Slam Finals and be going to a tournament the week after,
yeah.
so it's a moot point. But
Let's talk a little bit about Tsitsipas. He played Arnaldi.
Arnoldi had him, man. Arnoldi had his chance.
I know, and then he just totally went away.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, right? Like it's what we talked about before, right? Like opportunity to, it's. And granted, that was only to go up 2-0, so you don't know that he would have closed it out. But like,
Yeah,
I think a lot of times these guys realize what. And again, like it's weird that I'm Ronaldo, but like give Tsitsipas credit, like give a lot of these guys credit to these top guys, like they believe the whole time too, and they show that. The only one of these top guys that doesn't do that is Rublev,
right.
right? Like these other guys, they tend to show like you know that they believe, and I think that.
Even Ruud did it to some extent versus Fritz today.
Yeah, like when he was playing poorly, he didn't
Yeah, yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah. Yeah, Arnaldi, I mean, those third and fourth set though, he just totally lost discipline. You could tell. Like he
Well,
was
that's the problem, but that's the issue with him, right? Like that's why he hasn't. That's why he's not in the top 20.
right. Right. But for a set and a half, he was playing great. He was doing
Yeah,
fantastic. And
yeah.
yeah. Tsitsipas looks pretty good though. I have to say.
I think Sebastian looks really good. I think he looks really good.
It looks really good. I mean, like if you compare what he looked
This
prior,
versus last year.
yeah.
Well,
And
even
I
on
know
clay,
they're
this versus
playing
last
Alcaraz
year.
in the same exact round, right? Like in the same exact kind of
Yeah, but he looked so much better
totally
this time
different.
around.
Like Tsitsipas looks way better, and Alcaraz looks a tad worse, I would say.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As far as today's matches, Ruud Fritz. I mean, Fritz has
What else was there yesterday? Was there? I mean, obviously Djokovic was steady. I didn't see much of it. I saw the fifth set, but not
that
much
was the
else.
third. That was the third round. So,
Yeah.
Djokovic played today
That was
against.
the third round. You're right. You're right. What am I talking about? Yeah. Um. What else was
That's
yesterday?
all.
What was
Just
the night match? Oh, the night match was Mute Sinner. Yeah, I think we talked through everything. Yeah.
yeah. And then today, um,
Demoner made the court of this tournament, which I find
yeah,
funny because
I
I don't
know.
think he's very good on clay at all.
He
Like,
outplayed Medvedev in those final three sets. Like it was alarming how much better he was
but
in
the
those.
question is how much of that is the blisters. And Medvedev's just not that good. I don't think Medvedev's that good on clay either, right? Like we've seen. I mean, outside of Rome, what has Medvedev really done on clay? He's been okay, but
Yeah.
he's not.
It's
He's
just
not a
like was
top five
shocking
player.
how comprehensive it was, like not necessarily
Yeah,
the fact that Demon won, but like just how one-sided it was in those final three
yeah.
sets.
But blisters can be a real problem in sports.
Could be
It's amazing how much of like for what seems like a wimpy injury, blisters can be a real problem.
painful. It's painful for sure. That being said, like of the eight quarterfinalists, he has 100% the worst chance of winning this title. I don't think it's any debate.
Oh, I think it is. I think he's seventh. I actually think he's ahead of Dimitrov in terms of chance.
Really?
Chance to win the title, yeah. Yeah, I give Demon a better chance than Dimitrov to win this title. Way better chance.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's seventh. You're not way off. Like
Yeah.
he's definitely not in the top six, right? He's not winning. It
I would
hardly
say
matters
Dimitrov just because of the draw, right? Just because he has Sinner
yeah, because I
and
don't trust Dimitrov physically to get through these three matches.
right.
But like this is a silly debate because they both should be like
Yeah.
1 to 100.
Right.
Like it's not.
Yeah,
They both
they're
have like
7 and 8, right.
zero equals zero. Like it doesn't. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah. What else happened today? That we talked about the Djokovic Cerundolo. Um, Fritz and Rude. Much to take out of that.
I didn't see any of it, so not really. No, I mean I saw that Fritz seemed like outplayed Ruud for 2 sets, and then Ruud took
Yeah,
over.
Fritz had an injury concern. He was calling the trainer. I don't know exactly what it was
Okay.
for because like when he came out, it seemed like he was hitting the ball okay. Um, I mean, he should have been up 2 sets to love because he had a 5-love lead in the first set tie.
5-1, I thought, right? Or was it 5-love?
Something like that, 5-love or
Yeah.
5-1. Couldn't close. And then impressive mental effort for him to come back and win the second set. Uh,
Yeah.
but then like in the third, just kind of, it was tough for Fritz because like Ruud is a way better clay court player.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
as soon as he
Exactly.
would open up the court with a forehand, like Fritz had a lot of trouble. Like
Yep.
he has no way
Yep.
out of that patent of play.
Well, that rude forehand works a lot better on clay, right? It just does. Like that heavy. It's a really heavy forehand. Really, like these guys who play with a lot of spin, the play really helps with that.
It's similar to Dolo in a way. Like Dolo's forehand is a thing of beauty on the clay. When he has time on the ball, it's a thing of
Yeah.
beauty.
Yeah.
Sissy the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
um, yeah. But yeah, Ruud, just quarterfinal, and it would be funny if he makes the final 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Like, and he
I would
probably,
appreciate. I mean, that's my only futures bet that still is live.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I think my two futures bets this, or I had three. I had Wilch, Struff, and
yeah.
so Wilch and Struff
Ruud.
didn't really work out, but Ruud still got a chance.
Ruud is just underrated, I feel. Like,
I don't know. I think
no.
he is who he is. Like I think we talk about this pod all the time as a top five clay quarter.
Yeah, but if he makes the final 3 years in a row, then I gotta scrap the easy draw take and be like, okay, this guy deserves some credit. Like to make 3 finals in a row, regardless of what draw you is presented to you, like that's impressive.
It is, but again, I don't think anybody sees him as not a top five clay quarter, right? So like then the question is like yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and the problem is he's only good on clay. Like he's really not a good hard quarter, and he's a terrible
Yeah, it
grass
has to be
quarter.
slow, hard.
Yeah, slow hard he's okay, but like on faster courts that don't have bounce, like he's
Yeah.
so surface dependent that
Yeah. Yeah.
like it'll be funny once we come off and go to the fast hard court season at the end of the year in the fourth quarter in like Asia and stuff. Because then you like, what do you rate him as? Like a borderline top 50 player? Like it goes down so much.
I mean, I also think last year was just a poor year for him in general. Like he's probably like borderline top 20 in my eyes.
Okay.
Yeah. What else was there today? Zverev and Rune.
So I didn't see this either.
Didn't see it.
Yeah.
Um, I saw the first 3 sets. I didn't see the end of it. From what I saw, Rune played pretty well.
Yeah,
But
this is the story of Rune's life against top guys, right? Like
right.
it's like he should. I mean, that's the thing with Rune that makes him so tough to bet is like he always plays the level of his competition.
Yeah, exactly. And this match was no different. Like
Yeah.
against a top guy when he's kind of not expected to win, he kind of opens up those shoulders and like his best shots will be winners against anyone, right?
And I
But
think that's a huge piece of it too, right? It's just like
yeah,
like
I don't think he's mature enough to understand that a winner counts just as much as an error.
yeah, I think that's part of it. And then I think he also like he's not afraid, right? Like he's gonna do his thing.
Right. Right. And he believes that he's like a top 5 guy, even if
Right.
he's not.
Which is hugely relevant because a lot of these guys don't.
Right. That's true. I guess Dola doesn't.
I mean, it certainly seems that way, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But Zverev is just a better player at this moment. And I think that showed in the fifth set when he just blew him away 6-2.
yeah, I think so. And yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, it's, yeah,
So
he's a better,
so if you have to do the power rankings of those top 6 guys again, what would you rank them? Like not looking at the price.
Yeah,
Just
I'm still gonna put Zverev first.
really? Well, that's very interesting to me.
Maybe not. You know what? Maybe not. Maybe
Because
not.
I think he's one of those guys that
Maybe
doesn't
not.
believe he could beat a Djokovic or an Alcaraz.
Maybe not. Let me think about this. This is tough.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easier to go from the bottom.
Okay.
So sixth and fifth, and it's really close between the two of them, would be actually. So I think there's two groups. So I think Ruud, Tsitsipas, and Djokovic are in the lower group, and I think Sinner, Alcaraz, and Zverev are in the higher group. I just think Zverev is so physically impressive and so physically imposing
Yes.
that, like, how do you win 3 sets against him? I get it. He can play, like, he can really let his opponents into matches. I get it. He almost blew a match against Greek Sport, but I don't know.
I think if he plays Ruud in the semis, I think that that's a tough matchup for him. And I trust Ruud mentally more than I do Zverev. I don't trust him physically, but I don't like distrust Ruud physically either. Like he never breaks down physically either, you know?
So,
So,
but okay. So I guess, yeah. So I wasn't taking draw into account.
oh, okay, you have to take draw into account.
Okay. So if I'm
Like,
taking
that's a
draw
big
into
part of it,
account,
a huge part of
yeah.
it.
If I'm taking draw into account, then for me, the top two, I think I'd go. I think I'd go Alcaraz. I think I'd go Alcaraz, then Sinner, or Sinner then Alcaraz. But those are my top two.
Okay.
Just because, like, the problem for Djokovic or Ruud are that they have the toughest draws because they have to
Oh,
play each
Djokovic
other.
and Ruud have to play each other. Yeah.
Right. Whereas Sinner and Alcaraz have to play each other in the semis, but they both should win their quarters. I mean, Alcaraz should beat Tsitsipas. I don't think it's gonna be as. I think he'll probably drop a set. I don't think it's gonna be as smooth as it was as it's been the past few times they've played. But, like, I still think Alcaraz should win that.
Yeah.
Sinner's gonna hammer Dimitrov, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I put those two guys top two, then Zverev,
Okay.
then Djokovic, then in terms of winning the tournament, then Djokovic, then Ruud, and then Tsitsipas last.
Okay.
So I guess I end up with the same groups of three.
Yeah.
I
So you-
just moved Sinner down one, or it just moved Zverev down a couple because I think those that top half semi matchup's not a good matchup for him, regardless of which guy it is. I don't know who he'd rather prefer. Djokovic has a huge physical advantage at this point, but mentally there's probably a gap. And Ruud seems to be a really tough matchup for Zverev for whatever reason. Probably the forehand to forehand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I like
So for me, it's Alcaraz 1, Sinner 2. I agree with you there, but I think Alcaraz is just significantly better than Sinner on clay. So that's why I'll have to give him the edge. And I'm more concerned about Sinner's hip than I am Alcaraz's forearm.
okay.
So
I mean, the one thing I'll say is that both those guys got through pretty clean to these rounds.
yeah, but if they have to play a long, 4 or 5 setter in the
But it's
semi,
just one match. I feel like Sinner, we've said this before, I don't feel like Fifth Sinner breaks down in one long match. The problem is, how does he come back? So, like, if he has to play a long semi and has to come back and play a final 2 days later, that could be more of a concern for him than Alcaraz. I'll agree with you there.
but in matches
Um,
where Sinner has gotten injured midway through the match, he hasn't been good. Like he was, he had Like he felt that injury against Tsitsipas in Monte Carlo, right? He didn't get through that.
True.
I don't
True.
think he has the best pain tolerance. Like if I have to compare Sinner's pain tolerance with Alcaraz's or Djokovic's, like it's not nowhere near where those two
Yeah.
guys are. So I don't think he's very good at
But
like
again, like Sinner, even if so go back to Monte Carlo though. Sinner had a long match with Rune before that, right? Before the match with the day, I think it was the day
okay.
before, right? So I like that. That's what I guess that's what I'm going with. It's like if Sinner can keep cruising, I think the problem for Sinner would be is if he has to play a long semi with Alcaraz and he has to come back and play a final 2 days later. That could be tough.
Whereas with Alcaraz, if he gets through a 4 or 5 setter against Sinner, I think he'll be fine for the final, whoever it is.
Exactly. So I would say that's the
So
advantage in terms of physicality.
yeah,
I'd see. I'd probably go out. Yeah, I think yeah.
Alcaraz 1, Sinner 2. For me, it's clearly Djokovic 3, and I don't think like it's a pretty far gap. Just because like I don't think Ruud can mentally get over the hump if Djokovic plays at all. And then I don't trust Zverev in that spot against Novak from a mental perspective at all. So
Yeah, I don't either. But Zverev is so much better physically at this point than Djokovic. He's just playing. Like I think he's just a much better tennis player right now. The question is mental.
mental, yeah. And you know how highly I weigh the mental side.
Yeah, yeah. The question is like, is Zverev afraid to beat Djokovic? If he is, then it might not matter how good he is physically. You might be
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So it's Djokovic 3 for me. It's Ruud 4. It's Zverev 5, and it's Tsitsipas 6. So
Do you use Zverev below Ruud?
yes, because I think if Ruud plays Zverev, I think he has the edge because of that forehand, the forehand, and I just think that's a tough matchup for Zverev. And like Ruud is one of those guys where physically you don't there are no question marks with him physically.
Yeah.
When is the last time you've
But
seen him?
that's true of Zverev too, right? The only question is the diabetes. If he has like a bad day with the diabetes, but like that's the only question with Zverev physically also.
Yeah, I question him mentally much more than I do physically. Like I think he's the better fit like tennis player in terms of strokes than Ruud, obviously, but I trust Ruud mentally more than I do Zverev. And I don't think the gap is like that high on clay in terms
Yeah,
of
I hear you. I hear you. It's a tough one to call. The only thing I would say in favor of Zverev also is that he has another he plays Demoner. He really should be Demoner.
true. Good point.
Whereas, the other one's gonna be what's his face? Ruud and Djokovic are gonna play each other. So
That's true. That's true. But I think the winner of that match makes the final, is my take.
the winner of Ruud Djokovic. Not sure. I don't. I think Zverev's live.
He's live. I mean, but I think that mental gap plays a lot. So I don't know. And Rude is a pretty bad matchup for Zverev.
Yeah,
Um,
Ruud certainly seems to have owned him. I think Ruud's at least on clay. Ruud's been pretty good against him. I think.
what's
All
their
right.
head? What's their head to head? Oh, it's 2-2.
What is it on clay though?
On clay, it is
It's probably just that one match.
just one match.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rude got him in Miami in the quarterfinal. And yeah, Zverev got him hard courts, but that was before Rude was like, well, actually, they were all in 21, so Rude was like coming up at that point. So yeah. All right, so quick break, and then let's get into the
Yep.
games.
Yep.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. So it's time to preview the quarterfinals of
Yep.
Roland Garros. Let's see what we got here.
Not really sure who to play in the ITF Korea F1s. I don't know too much about Young Jun Park or Min Sung Kim.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with the first quarterfinal. We got Dimitrov against Sinner. Dimitrov is a 5.5 game dog. Sinner is minus 500. Dimitrov is plus 375 on the money line. Over under 36.5. So why don't you go first here?
I'm all over Sinner here.
I'd agree with that.
I mean, I don't think it's an amazing bet. I mean, 6 games is a lot. 5.5 is a lot, but
yeah.
I think I semi-comfortably take Sinner here. I just think I'm still not impressed by Dimitrov on clay. I'm not impressed by Dimitrov in best of 5 matches. There's really nothing in my mind to like about Dimitrov here. The matchup doesn't seem great. They've played 3 times, I think, recently in the past year. Sinner's crushed him all 3 times, once by 4, and they've all been best of 3. Once by 4 games, once by 5 games, I think, and once by 8 games.
Yeah.
And that's in a best of 3, so you extend that out to a best of 5. I gotta think Sinner. I think it's better than 50-50 that Sinner wins this 3-0. I think there could be some 3-1 in there too. I think Dimitrov could win a set. I think it's possible.
You got plus money on that for him to win 3-0?
I think it's like even money, maybe. There's like a million different ways you can get 3-0 on Bovada. It's kind of ridiculous.
Plus 130.
Yeah, that seems pretty. What is the Dimitrov? Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 different ways. I'll have to check out all the different ways you can get a line on that, because there's always like a zillion different ways to get a line on that. But yeah, I think that's a good look at the plus 130. At significant plus money. I also think that if you want to be a little more conservative, you could take the under on not the under on the games, the -6, the -5.5 for Sinner. I think is also a play here potentially.
Yeah, it's kind of juiced.
Well, you take the 6, and that would be unjuiced. If you prefer, if you want an unjuiced line, you could take -6 if you feel better about that.
Yeah, I feel better about that.
Yeah.
As far as these props go,
I need to think through these props a lot more. I'm not educated enough. I haven't thought through the match at a prop level yet. Usually for me, I need to actually look at this.
What's Sinner to break in sets 1 and 2?
Oh, it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be like -250 or something.
Yeah, it's -210.
Yeah.
Both players to break serve in the first set is plus 140. That's not terrible.
That's probably where I'll be going, is probably the over on the break props here.
Yeah, but I feel like Sinner can manufacture quite a few breaks. I feel like with Dimitrov, it's going to be harder.
Well, yeah, that's why he's a 6-game dog.
I know,
but yeah, I'm on Sinner here. I think if I was capping, I'd probably cap around 7. So I think there's like a game of
the over on breaks for Sinner is juiced at -185. And then with Dimitrov, the over 2.5 is plus 105. But I don't know if he can get there.
Yeah. I don't know how many props I'll have on this. I might just end up stuck on the Sinner -6. The Sinner 3-0.
The under half tiebreak is actually interesting at -115.
It is. That is an interesting bet. Yeah, I mean, I could see Sinner just running away with this completely.
Yeah. Although the center hip is a question mark, I don't know. I'm still not fully confident that he can that he's 100% healthy. I
don't even know if he needs to beat Dimitrov though.
What about this? Center to win in straight sets and win each set love 1, 2, or 3, or 4 at plus 550. Is that good enough?
Maybe I gotta think about it. That's not a great line for that bet.
It's basically under 18.5.
Line, but it's not ideal.
If you just hit center 18.5, they don't even give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably not a bad look. The Sinner to win. That's probably a good look. I might end up hitting that, but I'm not going to commit to it now. What I'll be on is probably the 3-0 at the plus money.
Yeah, I'm definitely pro Sinner here as well. I just think that the way the shot is just going to be too much. And like, what's the weather there? Because I think if it's like hot and
Well,
sunny,
I think it's like 70s. I think it's a little sunnier.
is it sunny or it's
I
cloudy?
think it's a little sunnier.
It's cloudy,
Oh, it is? Okay.
but it's yeah, it's 3 o'clock, 72 degrees. The roof is going to be open. What's the like humidity and all that? Let's see. Oh, it's going to be humid. It's going to be like 88%. So it's going to be, I feel like it's still going to be pretty heavy.
Okay.
And I think that that slightly favors Dimitrov. Would you agree with that? Like, I feel like if it's sunny and
Ooh,
dry, like,
actually, so worth noting, I'm seeing a 40% chance of rain. So like potential showers.
okay.
So roof may not be, not sure what the roof status will be like. But yeah, definitely humid. Um, yeah, definitely humid.
That's advantage Dimitrov.
Probably, yeah, I guess a little less weight of shot, but I don't think it's that amazing. Like, I don't know. I think Dimitrov probably slightly prefers the lower ball, but I don't think it's like a matchup decider.
Okay.
I mean, I'd prefer if this was like 5, but I'll probably still back it at -5.5.
All
Or the
right.
3-0, like I said, the
I'll
plus
probably
money.
tail you on the 3-0 at plus.
Or whatever the best lines I can find. There might be a better way to
Yeah.
play that.
Yeah. -6 is all right, I guess. But I kind of, in this matchup, I kind of prefer the 3-0 in a way. But all right, let's move on to the next match. So Tsitsipas and Alcaraz. So this is a 6-game spread. Tsitsipas is plus 325 on the money line. Alcaraz minus 425. Over under 36. Um, so my favorite bet, and I would make this GBM if you wanted to, is to do Alcaraz and Tsitsipas both Alcaraz and Sinner both -1.5 sets parlay.
What do you get on that?
I got plus 115.
Not terrible. Probably not going to back it.
Not gonna
I actually like Tsitsipas here.
really.
Yeah, in some, I don't know about money line, but I think I like Tsitsipas here in some capacity. I was thinking maybe either the over games or
Okay.
Tsitsipas, maybe Tsitsipas plus the 6 on the spread. But I kind of like something pro Tsitsipas here. We talked about it like a half hour ago, right? Whenever we talked about
Yeah.
whenever we were talking about the recap, like Tsitsipas looks a lot better than he did last year. Alcaraz looks slightly worse.
Yeah.
Alcaraz seemed to have a tendency to give away sets. Um,
Yeah, but
so yeah,
this is such a favorable head to head though. And like it's a great matchup for Alcaraz because he can counter any offense that Tsitsipas has with the forehand, right? And then he also hits big enough where he can pressure that backhand. So I think I agree with you that Tsitsipas is better than he was last year, and Alcaraz is slightly worse. But I still think that this is a very good matchup for Alcaraz. And
fine. I was looking at the stats in terms of service points won and return points won on clay this year. These
mhm.
guys are like dead even at 105, and it's a 6-game spread. I get it. The matchup is. I agree with you on the matchup piece. I'm just. I think I'm willing to take Steph in the face of the matchup. Like, I just don't think like Steph's been really good this year. Alcaraz has not been. And I know Alcaraz had the injury, so that plays into it. Like, I'm not saying that Carlos Alcaraz should not be a favorite here, but I'm just not sure that like him possibly being recovered from the arm injury. Now, who knows how much, and him being and it being a good matchup. I just don't know if that's worth 6 games.
I think the fact that this is 6 games and the other quarterfinals 5.5 games is ridiculous, though.
Like this one's much more competitive.
Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I think it's just the head to head here. And like I said, I mean, a lot of that, some of that head to head is, I mean, the ones everyone's gonna be thinking about are the beatdown in Barcelona and Roland Garros last year. But Tsitsipas looked terrible all of clay last year. He looked terrible all of last year. Period. He just seemed lost,
I would agree with that.
and he seems a lot better now. Like he didn't win Monte Carlo last year. Didn't make a Barcelona. Like he made a Barcelona final, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, he wasn't. I don't know. He didn't look the same at all. Like he looks much better now. Um, yeah, I'm on. Like I said, I'm not going to take the money line here. I think it's probably either a Steph spread. Steph to win a set is -165. I was hoping I could find a better line, but the best line I could find is -165 on it. So
Over
that's not
3.5
ideal.
sets, I kind of like it
Oh,
minus.
yeah, that's the one I was thinking of too. Is the over 3.5 sets at -125 could be a good play here. That's probably what I'll end up playing.
I mean, I have that parlay because like I can't see Alcaraz lose more than one set, but
Well, then take the Alcaraz. If you feel that way, take the Alcaraz 3-1 at +245.
yeah,
If you
I'm
feel it
probably,
shouldn't play 6 games, then that means by definition you think Tsitsipas wins a set. If you think he wins a set and he can't win more than within one set,
yeah,
then
agreed. I think I'm gonna hit that too, +245. I think that's a good play.
yeah, I don't know if I'm going to hit it, but I'm just saying for you, I think given your thought on the
Yeah.
match, I might hit that. Like I said, like I might hit that. I might hit the over 3.5 sets -125. Do they have the bet on here of Alcaraz 3-1 or 3-2? They have like the Alcaraz to win and both to win a set. I think is probably on here somewhere. It's usually not in the special. It's usually down. They
Oh
usually have
yeah,
as one of
over the
those
bottom. That's right.
weird props.
I like that too. Uh,
Oh, they don't have it up. Maybe it'll come up between now and match time, but that's when I'll be
yeah,
looking at. Because I think Alcaraz wins, but I think it's
I kind of like the Sissy Pass over 2.5 breaks.
I like that too. Yeah, yeah. Like I like Tsitsipas here, but in ways that don't force him to win the match.
Right. I'd play that at GBM over two and
All
a
right,
half
let's do
breaks.
that. Let's make that GBM play.
That's a fun one.
Actually, you know what? I'll confirm it in the morning. Not quite sure yet, but
Okay.
it's a pretty good chance.
I like that one a lot. I'm probably gonna hit the 3-1 too.
Yeah.
And I like the over 3.5 sets. Like, I don't know. That's a good price at -125.
It's decent. I mean, it's good relative to what you see for other matches.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I'm looking at it and the Tsitsipas, I mean, the difference between the -155 and the -125, like the break-even difference there is like 6 or 7%. Like, I don't know. Something seems weird there, so I gotta think about that. But yeah.
But I agree with you with your take. I also like the Alcaraz like over 19.5 at -120 or over 20 at
I
minus.
was looking at that too. That's the other one I was looking at as well. I agree. Like that
Yeah.
actually might be if you want to play the over 3.5 sets, you can play the over 20.
Theoretically, you can get there in 3 sets.
Theoretically.
This match gives me bad memories from last year. Remember that
Oh,
crazy,
I know, I
like how
know,
many
I
units did
know,
we lose on that? That was
I
brutal.
know.
That was brutal.
But I don't think that's going to be in play this time.
No, no. Can you imagine if like that cashed this time and we didn't hit it? That'd be.
But I think this is in a much better place this time.
I agree. I agree.
All right.
Although he had to withdraw from mixed doubles.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he's just gonna go cry about that so much that like he won't be able to come out for the match. Look, I don't think Badosa forced him to withdraw. I think that was Steph's own decision.
No, I think it was his dad's decision.
Probably, yeah, probably. You're probably right.
I don't think he makes any decisions without going to his dad.
Yeah, probably.
All right. Next match. I'm a little disappointed that there's no game spread up, but Zverev and Demonor. Zverev is minus 250. Demonor is plus 200. Um, I mean, if you want to be conservative here and play these like um favorite money lines at like minus money, like I think Zverev minus 250 is a fantastic play.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my first thought too. That was my first thought too.
Okay.
Like he really should not lose to Demon on clay.
No.
Um,
Ooh, I love this. Well, the problem with Zverev is that he just makes these matches so much more complicated than they should be. Like that's what kind of ticks me off. Like this should be a automatic hit, minus 1.5 sets at minus 135. But he has this tendency of just like playing passive and playing down to the level of the competition, which is another reason why he's fifth on my rankings. But I mean, that being said, if he plays against a top guy, he might like raise his level, like he did against Nadal.
yeah.
But still, it limits the confidence that I have in him. You know,
Yeah, this one, I mean, this feels pretty right to me, to be honest.
really,
I might have taken this Zverev money line at minus 250, but it's just, yeah.
I'm probably gonna hit this very minus 1.5 sets at minus 135. Like
I understand that. I think it's, yeah, I think that's playable as well.
Zverev to lose the first set and win the match is actually appetizing. But that being said, De Minaur lost the first set in both of his last two matches and came back and won. So
Yeah.
Zverev 2-3-1 and plus 280 actually is not bad too.
That's kind of interesting, actually. That's a pretty nice look there to 3-1. Usually 3-1s don't look that good. That could be a look.
Yeah. And then it's the Djokovic Ruud match. I think this is one of the most interesting opening lines I've seen in a while. For a high profile slam match, like I was not expecting to see Pick'em. I was expecting to see Djokovic
So
just
what I think is more interesting
not
here is Ruud is a favorite to win sets 1 and 2, but it's a pick for the match,
yeah.
which tells you something, right?
Yeah,
Like
yes.
it tells you that like the market is believing the same mental voodoo thing that we're thinking.
Right. So I actually hit Djokovic already at plus money on another book. I got him at plus 105.
Okay.
To me, that's a must hit just because of this mental thing and um like if he plays this match, he's probably healthy enough where he knows that he can survive and you know
Yeah, my play here
last
is probably the Casper set 2 money line. Because I do think
Okay.
Ruud is just physically a better player than Djokovic at this point on clay. Um,
I don't know if I agree with that, but okay.
I mean, what has Novak done that tells you he's a better tennis player than Ruud?
I mean, the Monte Carlo match was it was still really close. It's not like Ruud blew him away, and like I think up to that point, Ruud was in way better form.
But I mean, that's the one. That's the one. And granted, head to head is it's relevant. Like I feel like that's the one.
I think Ruud has the problem is like he's good, but he has too many weaknesses where Djokovic knows what to attack.
Yeah, I got to think about this one more. That's a fair point. I got to think about this one more.
Like,
My initial thought is Ruud set 2,
okay,
the minus 120. And my logic there is that again, from like a mental perspective, like that's probably the set he's least nervous for. Like set 1, he could come out of the gate a little nervous. I don't
Like
necessarily want to pick him to win the match. I'm afraid of the mental voodoo at the end. But set two seems pretty good
a
to
very
me.
interesting angle. I like that.
The other match, the other one at line I was looking at was Ruud to win 2 sets, but it's like minus 250 or minus 230 or something awful.
Oof.
Yeah, that's like I said, I looked at it and then like the I wanted a better price.
My favorite play is Djokovic money line. I don't
I
know.
just think it's I don't know. Djokovic hasn't shown me very much that tells me he's a good tennis player at this point.
That
Like he
all
might,
goes to the side because of this mental stuff. Like I don't think Ruud is capable of getting over the hump. Like I think he's gonna have the same nerves that Dolo had if it gets to that point.
yeah, you might be right. You might be right. I mean, you might be right. That's why I don't really want Dolo. Why I don't really want Ruud money line either. That's why I want like this set too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that if you want to play Ruud, I think it's best in individual sets. Um, but if Djokovic plays his best or like he finds his best level in certain spurts of the match, Ruud will have no chance. Like we saw that. I thought Ruud actually played really well in the last year's French Open final. I saw clips of it today, and like I thought he played a fantastic match. It's just when Djokovic played his best, Ruud had no answers.
I agree with that. Um, but we haven't seen Djokovic's best for any extended length of time in 6 months now.
Okay, all right. I mean, yeah, he needs it in spurts. Like he needs to find it in 3 sets, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Like he
I think the
doesn't need
biggest
it for
question
the
here
entire
is can Ruud
match.
stand up to him mentally?
I mean, what's the 5 set line here? Plus 230?
That could be a look too. That's probably a good look, especially if you think Novak's slightly injured, which he said he might not even play. The problem is, yeah, I mean, he said he might not even play Wednesday.
Yeah, but then you get a push. So it's like I'm gonna hit whatever I think
Yeah,
that he's gonna play. And then
yeah,
if he plays, that means he knows that he's good enough to last 5 sets.
yeah.
Like in his heart of hearts, he knows that if this match goes long and the injury doesn't get worse, like I'll be good.
What about the 3-2 Djokovic? If you want to play Djokovic, that might be a good way to play him.
525.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah. Oh wow, it moved to even money. Like when was the last time we saw Djokovic as a dog in the slam? Alcaraz at the French last year?
yeah. And he was a favorite against Sinner.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty sizable favorite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think to me, Rude is a slightly more solid and mentally stable version of Sissipas.
Okay.
Like both of them I trust physically, but I trust Rude from a mental perspective slightly more. Um, and I think whose forehand would you grade higher, Rude or Sissipas?
It's a pass.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, Ruud's forehand is nice. Well, Tsitsipas can do more with it. It's more versatile.
It's
His short forehand's a lot better.
it's a better
Um,
attacking forehand,
yeah,
whereas Rude's a better defensive forehand, I would say.
yeah, yeah. But Tsitsipas, I think, works into his overall game a little better than Ruud does. Whereas maybe Ruud, it's more of a, like Tsitsipas. Yeah, Tsitsipas kind of fits the forehand in with the rest of his game a little better.
How about backhand?
On a slow clay court, Tsitsipas's backhand is not that bad. Probably take Tsitsipas on that wing too. On a slow clay court. On anything else, it's Ruud, but on a slow clay court,
I think it's Ruud. I think he has a better ability to hit winners off the backhand. Ruud.
that's true. You never see
I
stress that winners off the backhand. It's basically just to get an in shot. That's a
yeah.
fair point.
Serve probably Tsitsipas.
Also, yeah. But root serve is
Right.
good. Root serve is
Uh,
pretty underrated.
yeah, it's true. It's true. Mental. I think Ruud and Tsitsipas are very similar in a way. Like they have very similar strengths and weaknesses.
They do, yeah. They're similar players, yeah. I would agree.
Just Ruud is a more defensive version of it, whereas Tsitsipas
Yeah.
is a more offensive version. And
Yeah, I would
like
agree.
Ruud is not as good as at attacking, and Tsitsipas is not as good at defending. So it's similar. It's similar.
Yeah.
But I'll probably hit like 5 sets and Djokovic money line, and probably
I kind of like the Djokovic 3-2,
yeah.
and then the Ruud to win set 2.
Okay. The set two is a very interesting angle. Like I doubt many people are gonna have that take, but I like that. I like that. That's good. Yeah. All right, so that does it. We gotta look at futures prices. Um, so Alcaraz is what we said, plus 160. Sinner is second at plus 325. Djokovic is plus 5-1. Zverev is plus 550. Ruud is plus 750. And Tsitsipas is 16-1. And you were right. The books have Demonor 7 and Dimitrov 8.
Did my order match the book? No, because I have Zverev ahead of Djokovic. But other than that, I was pretty close.
So based on those prices, you should probably hit Zverev if you think because you think they should be flip-flopped. And for me,
yeah.
I think Ruud should be
Yeah,
ahead
I
of
guess
Zverev.
the problem is I think there's just too much vig to want to hit anybody though. Like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'd be on Zverev. I guess I'd probably should be on Zverev, but I don't know. There's probably too much vig to want to get involved.
As far as name the finalists, anything enticing look there?
No.
No.
Nah.
Zverev, Alcaraz. Yeah. Yeah, not really.
Wow, the bottom half is minus 200.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Considering we have Djokovic, Ruud, and Zverev all in the top half.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be the draw, like the fact that the bottom half is easier, right? The path for Sinner and Alcaraz is much easier
Well,
than
it's just each other, right? I think it's also that like those two guys have looked the best too, right? This tournament so far, like Djokovic has been
I agree.
shaky, Zverev's been shaky, Ruud's been shaky. So who else is left?
But
Sinner
they've
now?
also had the way easier competition, right? They haven't been tested by their competition. So
Yeah, Foki played a great match against Ruud.
he did. And then
He choked, but he played a good match.
I
He
don't
choked several
weigh
times, but yeah.
I weigh Dolo and Musetti at a higher level. Well, maybe not Musetti, but Dolo for sure at a higher level than I do like Corda and FAA on clay,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And then I weigh him way higher than or like Holger Rune I weigh way higher than Corentin Mute.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean I agree.
yeah. So I don't think that that's a accurate representation. But yeah, that being said, I don't really want to play the top half because the guys that make the final there, they might be gassed.
Yeah, it's also like it's also the problem is like, are those guys because it's gonna be Sinner and Alcaraz in the bottom half. So are those guys like are those three guys, Djokovic, Ruud, Zverev, are they better than like when the odds come out, is it better than plus 150 against Sinner or Alcaraz? I don't know. There's
Yeah.
always a lot of hype around Alcaraz. So you're probably, if Alcaraz makes the final, you're probably just better off just betting it as a match play.
Yeah.
I can't see Alcaraz being a dog or a pig against anybody unless he has like a really tough time against, both these next two matches. I can't see him being a dog or a pig against anybody.
Yeah. If Sinner and Alcaraz play in the semis, what would you like? What do you think that price is going to be?
Close to pick. I mean, maybe Alcaraz like minus 145, Sinner plus 120. I think it's pretty darn close to pick.
But I mean, the futures odds say that Alcaraz is going to be a pretty sizable favorite, though. Not sizable.
Well, not necessarily, right? Because you got to also think that they're also factoring in like, is Alcaraz does he have a better chance of winning if he makes the final than Sinner? Does Alcaraz have a better chance? I think Alcaraz is, I guess the quarter is not factoring that much because I think the quarters, the prices are pretty similar on the money line. So it's a little bit that Alcaraz will be a favorite, but then it's also, they're saying Alcaraz has a better chance in the final.
Okay, that's true. Yeah, and then also if Alcaraz or Sinner play Djokovic in the final, that mental gap is I mean it's still there, but it's not like huge because they've proven that they could do it before. Right?
Well, Alcaraz has beaten Djokovic in 5 sets.
Right. Exactly. So you kind of have to eliminate that variable, which is a big part of these matches. And then Sinner did it in Australia too.
Well, I think these guys are both huge favorites as Djokovic in a final. Like, that's why I can't really get behind Djokovic plus 500. It's I just don't like if I was going to back Djokovic, I'd rather back him to make the final.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just don't see what would make you say he's a better tennis player than Alcaraz or Sinner right now to beat him.
Great.
No, it doesn't mean he can't do it. It just means that, like, especially because if you look at these prices, like, is Djokovic 50-50 to win the final? That's what, like, that's the price differential here.
No. No.
Like, he's a dog in the final.
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah.
Especially how much he's had to put in to get to this point.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still 2 more matches before the final. Like, at some point, like he is human, and these opponents are tougher.
Like, what's really interesting here is that Zverev is only plus 160 versus Djokovic being at plus 200 and Ruud at plus 240. Like, that means that, like, I guess that means that, like, the thought is that I think people are thinking the way you are, Manny, that Zverev's a dog against Djokovic or Ruud.
Mm-hmm.
That might be where I go. I mean, if I was to place me on the futures, that's probably
Well,
what I
then
would place.
Ruud on the
Place.
well, I think they're also thinking that Ruud has a worse chance against Alcaraz or Sinner, right, than Zverev. Like if they play the final.
Yeah, probably that too. Yeah, yeah.
So you're gonna go Zverev to make the final plus one.
If I had to, that would be my pick. I think here.
Okay. I don't think I'm gonna hit anything because I really want to see what happens in the Ruud Djokovic match. Like that's such an interesting match in terms of like once that match happens, I'll have a way better idea of like who I think is
Makes sense.
favorite because I got to see how Djokovic recovers from this thing or if he plays at all. Like so.
Yeah.
And I have a quarters future. I have Ruud, Zverev, Sinner, and Alcaraz to win their respective quarters at 20.
Which is pretty amazing because I mean those are 3 big favorites, and then a coin flip at 28-1. Like that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. I mean, Djokovic was a sizable favorite to win the quarter before the tournament started.
Yeah.
But I thought it was closer than the line suggested. So
yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm sweating. But all right, any more thoughts before we
Oh, I think that's it, man. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about this week. It's a little bit more of a I like the first round so much more better, the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of interesting storylines that are gonna
There's
happen.
interesting storylines from like a tennis perspective. I just don't think like there's just not very many matches, you know.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to look at matches, you could look at the Surbiton Grass Court Challenger.
I mean, it's a pretty good challenger field there.
It is. It is. Chapo is playing. You got Cressy,
Yeah, I just
Emilianova,
hate like
Michelson.
I won't be playing this just 'cause I feel like I don't play many challenges to start with, and then now you're talking about like a challenger on a week after a slam. Everybody's on surface transitions. Just a lot going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
I mean, as I look at it initially, like Walton against Dan Evans looks like a potential play.
Yeah. Yeah. Plus 190. That's pretty good.
Or maybe the 3.5 game spread. I know it's a grass court, but I don't know, man. Like that's a potential thought there.
Oh, Kyle Edmund, your guy, your boy.
Yeah, my boy Edmund. Yeah, he's a favorite. He's a 3 game favorite against Fonseca. That's a funny match.
That is a funny match. I think
Um,
it might be Fonseca's first match on grass ever.
yeah, Edmund been for him ever stepped on a grass court, period. Um, yeah, very interesting field here.
Yeah. Alex Bolt plus 125 against Mackey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The return of Lloyd Harris to relevance. I guess not really relevance. He just happens to be on the board in a challenger tournament, but yeah.
Yeah. Bukic plus 3.5 against Chapo.
That seems pretty good, no?
Chapo coming off like a quick surface transition. Like he just played what? He just played Hubie like 2 days ago.
Yeah, that seems like a mess. That seems that might be that. If I had to play one of these, I'd play that. I'd play Vukic.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, best of luck everyone on your quarterfinal
Yep.
bets and enjoy the tennis and we'll probably be back for the semis.
Yep.
So, all right. Have a good night,
All
everyone.
right, see you, everybody.